Hello Israel, it's me, Red Planet, coming to you once again with another video. No rights to the video or music is strictly for educational purposes only. Let's listen to what would be speak about the Book of Enoch.
The Book of Enoch, the fallen angels. They may have taught and maybe still are teaching man many things, when they themselves still have much to learn. No, they do not know everything. Many assume that they came here knowing it all, but they do not. Like children, they had to be taught by their elders, and their elders had to be taught by the Creator. That is why there is a hierarchy among them. There are leaders and followers. You see, you teach a child something basic. They know that they do not fully understand what they have been taught, but that doesn't stop them from running off and teaching their friends what they have learned. It didn't stop the fallen from teaching mankind. So I want to go back to the Book of Enoch and point something out. And you may be interested to know that there are many things we have accepted into our lives that are like spiritual gateways between us and them. Symbols, relics, artifacts of darkness. I want to start off by asking everyone a question. How many of you know the origins of the Ouija board? None of you, right? Do you know why? Because nobody does. This thing just came out of nowhere. Yes, you can trace it to a patent from the 19th century, but before this artifact named itself Ouija, meaning good luck, it was simply called a talking board, a toy or game. That had to be proven to work at the patent office before a patent could be applied. Did you know this? Now, you have to ask yourself, for something that is commonly known to be inherently evil, why are people still playing around with these things? You've seen them online, up at 3 a.m., with the intent to do what? Why, talk to spirits, of course. It was designed by these entities, so you can bet when these fools call on these spirits, they can hear them, loud and clear. The reading of cards, palm reading, the reading of runes. Where do these things originate? Do you know? Everyone recognizes this, right? A dream catcher. I think you have been led to believe that this artifact somehow wards off nightmares. No, it creates them. I know some of you are going to disagree, but I'm telling you, if you have one of these things in your house, get rid of it quickly. Many of you have heard of the ancient tales of men being able to cast evil spirits into artifacts. You know, the jinn. And if you didn't know this, this is a common practice of witches. Witches can have these dark entities take possession of an object. Do you know what else is a common practice of witches? Jewelry making, along with selling it to the public. It is usually the type of jewelry that comes with stones, charms, crystals. So some poor soul runs across one of these websites that sell these things. They don't know what it is. It just looks nice. So they buy it, but they do not own it. No. One of these beings out there owns it. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one. And they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And Azazel taught men to make swords, and knives, and shields, and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth, and the art of working them, and bracelets, and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. Now, what I find interesting about these particular verses is that these are things men still do to this day, but none of these things can be linked back to any one person. This chapter goes on to read, and there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. Semyaza taught enchantments and root cuttings, Amaros the resolving of enchantments, Barakio, astrology, Kokabel, the constellations, Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds, Arakiel, the signs of the earth, Shamsiel, the signs of the sun, and Seriel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. So let me ask you folks, according to this chapter, what are all these things that men were taught to do ingredients for? Sounds like they were teaching men the art of war and witchcraft. I guess you could call it warcraft. Now I want to turn your attention back to something. How many of you have something in your home that you may have packed away somewhere in an attic or basement that is questionable? Let me give you an example. It may be a statue, a strange piece of old jewelry. It could be a book, or even a game not so obvious as the Ouija board, but card games like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! These things are questionable when it comes to attracting negative energy or evil spirits. But you know, sometimes these objects are tagged with symbols. Symbols you see almost every day. And you really don't know what they are because no one ever told you.
Did you know there's a new way to homeschool your kids without doing it yourself? It's true. This new method is helping kids to get a great education.
Because no one ever told you what they are. All people know is the Star of Satan, the pentagram, that's it. That's the obvious one. Now some of you are going to hate me for what I'm about to say, but you know what? I'm reminded of a quote. The only people mad at you for speaking the truth are those people who are living a lie. Everyone should know what this symbol is, right? Now there are people who look at this symbol and believe it to be something holy. I get it. But under whose authority? Who told men to do this? How is this idolic symbol holy? Keep in mind this is propagated as such in films and television. But how many of you have been able to stop a vampire using one? How many of you have been able to get rid of demons using a cross? Go watch the movie The Conjuring 2. That lady put crosses all over the walls in one of the rooms in their house to ward off a demon, and it ended up being the worst room in the house. I know there are those who use this object in prayer, but who are they praying to? God or the object in front of them? In spite of whether you think this is right or wrong, is it truly necessary to have to use an inanimate object to worship God? Do you know what this symbol also stands for? The cross of confusion, the tau cross, the broken cross, the golden dawn cross, the cross of St. Peter that is now known as the anti-Christian inverted cross. Huh? You mean to tell me that I can take a regular cross and just turn it upside down? Now it is no longer holy, it is unholy? Why would someone use a symbol to represent someone when that symbol has been and can be used against him? The Rosicrucian rose, used in the worship of the goddess of Venus. The Egyptian Ankh, the symbol of life, also used in occult magic rituals. I'm not saying all these crosses are inherently evil, but these were and are used by people who worship different gods. The crescent moon and stars. You know, the stuff you find on a box of...
So we all know that these crosses and symbols and statues and cards is something that we should not use or worship. Because when you use that or have that in your prayer, you're worshiping, you're praying to the idol or not to the Most High. So this is not something we need to use. Now, this is what the fallen, when they fell, taught our people to do enchantments and spells and curses using the symbols, crosses. This is what they taught them because this is what they knew.
Lucky Charms, the triangle, the symbols of earth, wind, and fire, the circle in a circle, all occult symbols, the triquetra, you know, the symbol of the Holy Trinity, a Celtic symbol which is also the symbol for the triple goddess used by witches, the hexagram, or the Star of David, or the Seal of Solomon, a king who had different wives from different religions, mind you, or the symbol of Baal, another symbol used in witchcraft, planetary and astrological symbols, symbols of magic and the occult, Wiccan and pagan symbols, Egyptian symbols, many religious symbols, many symbols of deities, and many common symbols used to worship only God knows what. See, it's a good idea to know what these symbols mean so that when you see them on products, when you see them on books or games or on television, when you see them on objects or buildings, you know what that is. Some people have these old statues and souvenirs from other countries without knowing their origin. They are questionable. Old dolls. Well, I'm not really sure about old dolls. They just creep me out, so I just threw them in there with the rest. Ventriloquist dummies especially. Let me tell you something. If you have a ventriloquist dummy in your house, you are asking for it. I don't even want to be your friend if you have one of those things. Barbie, on the other hand, seems to be pretty harmless. But seriously, keep in mind that these fallen angels, these demons, do not need rituals or symbols or Ouija boards to get to someone. These people only need these things to get to them. That is a trick. To get the person to believe that they have some type of control over them. It doesn't really matter what the symbol is. It is the intent behind it. This is why people have to go through all these crazy rituals invented by the fallen. Because it shows their devoted, committed intent to summon spirits. And that is what they want to see from people. An act of worship. Now, Enoch was a translator. If you go through the books, you'll learn that he spoke the language of the Watchers. He transmitted messages between God and the fallen because God wouldn't talk to them anymore. You know, the Nephilim, they were given a chance. God kept sending Enoch to tell them, but they did not want to hear it. Not until it was too late. The same with the Pharaoh of Egypt. He was given a chance. But see, God knew that was going to happen even before the earth was created. And so people ask, well, why would God allow these bad things to happen? Why would he cause destruction upon the earth? Well, because he knows the end result. And people keep thinking that God is some type of human. They do. They humanize him and expect him to feel and act like a person. Let me tell you something, folks. If you believe in a God, if you believe that there is only one God, the Creator, then understand that you are here for his purpose. Atheists beware. You are the easiest target for these dark entities and occultists. But if you don't believe in them, then I suppose you have nothing to worry about. And I assume that if you were strong in that disbelief, then you wouldn't take the time to watch this video. No, you have a choice. You don't have to believe in God or the devil. But I can guarantee that God definitely believes in you. And if that's true, then so does the devil.
Much love, Israel.